I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to the County Commission Workshop, March 10th, 2025. We're going to open up the public forum. Under the public forum, you'll have 3 minutes to speak to the commission. I have one sheet turned in tonight, Mr. Terry Lowe.
Adopted this to help their senior citizens, and it's time for Cheatham to do the same. The current tax relief program was adopted in 1973 for seniors and is 52 years old and applies to very few seniors. In order to qualify under this program, you have to live on property that is less than $31,800. My wife, granddaughter, and I live in a 1968 mobile home on 3 usable acres of land, and our property is appraised at $210,000. So we don't qualify for this 52-year-old program. According to the last census report, the median income for seniors 65 and older is $45,000 a year in Cheatham County, and the median income for working families is $82,000 plus or minus $5,000. Yet seniors have to buy groceries, gas, and medicine from the same stores as these working families, but with one half the income. Since property appraisals are extremely high in Cheatham County and property taxes have increased this year up to 50 to 72%, passing this amendment of the Tennessee Constitution will not affect the amount of revenue the county will receive, but it will help 7 to 10% of our population that are seniors 65 and older. Plus the unregulated growth of the housing market in Cheatham County and the median age of residents being 41 years old, the government will have no problem recouping the amount of money needed to pay for this program. Passing Article 2, Section 28, the tax freeze for seniors over 65 will not be a fix-all, but it will help a little in this time of extreme price increases. Please make a motion to adopt Article 2, Section 28 to help our seniors that have supported their entire lives. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that want to speak in the public forum, hadn't turned in your sheet? All right, we're going to move on to number 2, Mr. Ed Greer, jail update in the maintenance building.
Jail's going good. Finally dried in. I didn't notice, started the crossover. Starting the elevator here. Working through details on the salad board and stairwell there, working it out. Most of the correction doors, the cell doors are in. Walls got the first coat of block fill paint on them. Starting to look like a building on the inside. Things are proceeding. Questions on the jail. The roof, the metal, I don't know if you've seen down Fry Street, there's a lot of metal going on the roof.
You may have any questions, Mr. Greer, on the jail? No problems or anything going on with it?
Not at this point. Get hot outside, you go inside, it's still about 50 degrees inside.
All right, on the, we'll move on into the maintenance, the building over here. There's a copy of the plan sitting over here on the desk. I think everybody got probably a small picture of that on your email. Eventually, we're going to have to move on this. What we're going to do is the commission prepared to, Mr. Mayor, do you need anything from us to move forward?
I wanted y'all to review the plans.
What is the difference in these plans here that we've got now than what they were months ago?
Well, we took out a door again
got rid of the kitchen, moved it into what we had for a conference room. And kind of condensed everything down, kind of renamed a few rooms, storage space for, you know, paper goods and stuff that we get that the girls use to, you know, put in bathrooms and supplies basically is what it is. Fridge drain out and the separator. Hopefully have worked out the details for water issues that we didn't know existed on the front end of this.
Got a quote from Bell, but that's not tying in at the street. 30,000 for that, but that's still.
That, will that,
Instead of the retaining.
so that'll take care of not having to have a retaining wall?
Right.
So the bid last time was over $1 million. How much do you think you cut off? I don't want to say how much a bid will be, but. Right. Till it's bid out, you won't know.
When was this last bid let, the bid you're speaking of, how long ago was that?
3 months.
Why do we need a key room as big as this? How many keys we got? Are we keeping keys for the whole Cheatham County?
I have several, or 2 key machines that I gotta set up and a key. I've got a cell over there right now that's set up with keys in it. I've got more keys than you.
You have machines, you're setting up machines where you can cut the keys when you need a
Yes.
key.
For the ones that we cut keys for, you know, if we do these build outs, most of the time, you know, it's all in the bid when they come in and like out at Sycamore, I've got one, you know, what we call the best key, out there for all them cores. They're just set up a little bit different for each office, so you got a different key, but it's basically the same key. I got one master key and control key that controls that whole Sycamore Square. But you still gotta have, you know, duplicates here and there, people lose keys. If I had it my way, it'd all be on card access, but that's expensive. You still have locks. We'll never get away from locks.
Now, on the building, I looked at the big plans over here. We have all the offices and the things that you need. What is the big open area? There's nothing wrote on it. What is that for?
That's gonna be filters, that's gonna be everything I got in that building over there. I got Christmas decorations, I got all kinds of crazy stuff. There's a lot of stuff that ain't going, but, you know, we can pick through and get the good stuff out. There's just 35 years of garbage over there, a lot of it.
Now, on the plans, it's showing a firewall, I noticed. Why would they make us have a firewall between storage and offices? Is that a code?
It's a code issue. That would be Josh, but yes, I would put money, that's a code. Because you have an office area where you have employees.
Josh will be here next Monday night.
So what, on these plans, or even the ones before that, what's the difference in these plans, what we're doing now, than what we'd have done when we thought it was gonna cost $350,000? What are we doing different in the buildings? We're gonna have offices in there. What is the architect making us do now that's costing so much more than what we thought it was gonna cost?
basically was a general contractor, and he subbed all this out. Is how much money fire halls. So one move on the maintenance facility.
My question is, if Edward can do that in the position he's in, and these are maintenance men, why can't they do their own build-out?
Trying to protect us from the standpoint of, go out there and build something that's not the code. If it falls down, we got an architect go back to it and said, they said that wall would stay up. That's where the state's coming in. What Edwin told us, and Edwin's always come in with his numbers right on target.
I wasn't here when the building was started and all, but I'm here now, but I'm gonna tell you, the building's about twice as big as what it should have been. And the gentleman back here just told you that, because he's got junk that he needs to throw away. So why does the county want to store junk?
Old jail in the 1500s, 11,000 square feet. Rid of a lot of the space and a lot of the junk.
A workspace too, you know, I've got table saw downstairs that we gotta get out. We gotta be able to set up some of this equipment around, regular basis. I've been very hesitant since I moved, you know, took this position, buy anything, because I knew at some point we were gonna go down this road. Because it's not a shop, it's not a maintenance shop. It's an old jail with a lot of unusable space. You can't do nothing in it.
How long ago has it been since this figure 300,000 was thrown out there? How long has that been?
Yeah, the metal building was constructed in like 3 weeks, and it was a year ago, Thanksgiving weekend. That would have been
First bid was in, April. The second bid, they bid it twice for some reason, and I thought that was very interesting. The other bid was in, the 9th month, 21st day.
I'm talking about when I originally asked for the 300,000 dollars.
But what was interesting about all that was, this bid was 9/21/23, but the Mace proposal, the bid opening was the day before. So, you know, it's a whole lot of stuff about this building that it just don't make sense. I've built buildings, and I've built old buildings, and I worked in construction all my life, and, you know, it's a mess. As my wife would say, it's a hot mess.
Maybe we just need to set a cap and say this is what we're gonna spend on it. Come in at 300, they come in at 300,000 a year ago. Nobody ever make me believe, I know things just went up, but to go up that much in a year? Maybe we just need to say, we're gonna spend this on it, and this is what we're gonna spend, and this is what we're gonna get, and we're done. You limp along, and maybe next year, these fellows can throw a wall up, or I don't know, but, maybe we, you know, 300,000, a million, maybe we need to sit down and say, okay, we're gonna spend this on this building.
It just makes me think, like, how long we've quote unquote kicked the can down the road. Sitting right behind us is a prime example. 8 years ago, you could have built that jail for half of what it costs to build it now. Here we are. I don't know what the solution is to the problem, but something that fix it right. The longer it's put off, the more money it's going to cost.
Well, the original resolution was to build this with a maximum price of $350,000, and that was before we knew we was gonna have to have an architect get involved, but I don't understand, I know the architect fees, but I don't understand what would have drove the price up so much that the architect wanted different than what we were gonna do. Probably the firewalls, one thing. Edwin, you wanna speak?
Codes, there's a lot of it. Before I got done with the Petway station, from the time the plans were approved with the fire marshal, they made me change. It cost me $50,000 more to build that fire hall over there, above what I'd originally said.
What,
You put government on it, I'm telling you, I built these buildings because I've done them piecemeal. I have bid everything individually, like electrical, plumbing. When you get, and I'm not knocking contractors, but when you get a contractor and you put government on it, jack the price up. That's not anything I can do about it. But these fire halls and stuff, I did the trim, the paint, I did the landscaping, the driveway, myself. Plans and everything, I can't do it. I'm not an engineer or contractor that can read those plans. I'm sure I'm gonna make a mistake and cost more money. I hate it happening, but we got that building built, and then the state said, if you build anything over $50,000, we had plans. And engineer plans.
How many bids were submitted?
Come back and bid again, but five or more contractors.
Definitely. These fellows that put up these pole barns, we all know, I mean, I don't know, do they go, these fellows that put these up, will they finish them?
Yeah,
They probably will.
Summertown Metals will.
Summertown Metals would come in there and finish
They
the
will
building.
do it from the time it comes out of the ground till you move into it.
But is that codes for what we're needing to do as a government
They
organization?
have their own engineers, licensed architects, the whole 9 yards.
Edwin, who did your base space back there? Was it them?
That was, all the buildings that I've overseen building for the county, when we built, National Pole Barn was the low bid. Now, on that building, it was another company, and they were building, if y'all remember, I built the storage building behind the, education. We bid it one week, National Pole Barn got it. The next week, another company got it, and I will never use them again. I can take you and show you those two buildings and show you the difference in the way the metal was done, but they were low bid, so I had to go with it. And they wasn't low bid by a lot, it was still low bid, so I had to go with it. Originally, when we bid it, like I said, I bid the building. I called and got prices to get to that $350,000, $60,000. I didn't just throw a dart against the wall, but stuff's gone up, things changed, like in those original plans, those plans that were required, they put in that French drain, they put in an oil separator, all kinds of stuff that, I don't even have drains in my fire hall. We wash the floor and squeegee them out.
I mean, the main structure is there. All we gotta do is go in there and grade it, get it to grade and pour a concrete floor, and you've got the bulk of the building. Then at that point, you go in there and stud it up, wire it, plumb it. I just can't grasp that much money for that.
Jimmy, it's already graded.
Huh?
It's already graded.
There's no concrete in it.
No, no, I
Right.
mean, we were getting ready to, I was
Right.
getting ready to have the plumbing roughed in and the concrete poured when the state stopped us.
Well,
But to come in there and pour concrete in that building, you got the building, you got the floor, and I just can't swallow that much money. Go in there and put up some metal walls, stud walls, whatever, drywall or whatever you wanna put up, plumb it, wire it, 2 codes. I can't see that that's gonna be another $700,000.
And the state stopped it because of code.
State stopped it because they said I couldn't build it without stamped engineered plans that cost us $50,000. But, you know, me in the election office, what did that cost? And you already had 4 walls in the roof. Wasn't that over $1 million just to redo the inside?
1.2.
You already had an existing building, so.
Yeah, that's
You
what
had
I'm
all
saying.
the walls.
We tore down the old squad building, we left that slab that was there, we called 811, had them twice come out and mark everything, and then the city.
so they've,
got it fixed.
but on the bids that come in last time, which I know we've made some changes on, they just say, one was way under, but, they left a lot of stuff off, so we passed over them and went with the other one. But, that concrete's gotta come out of there. It's inside that building, the concrete floor that's in there, the old,
That's what the architect specified. He cut down about 4 inches inside it. Water in that concrete.
That high up. I will say this, back when we built the ambulance service at Kingston Springs, they did a bid opening in my EOC, I don't remember what year that was. There was like 20 contractors. People were hurt. There was building going on everywhere. I think that's why. Hopefully, like the mayor said, you have more people interested. Competition you have, the better pricing will be.
07, 08.
anybody else have anything? Mr. Mayor, you gonna put it back out for bid?
Gotta be in bid. Contractors out there, if we said in this, what, some of those bids would come in at $1,999,000. That's the reason I don't wanna talk about, we definitely cut some things out of that original bid. High bid, it was like $150. But it's nothing fancy in there. Size, it's running that price up a little bit.
I wasn't saying that we need to make the amount public.
I understand.
Yeah, no, that's a mistake.
I don't wanna take a cap on it either. I mean, at this point where we're about to bid.
Right. Is the building insulated? Is it insulated now?
It is insulated, full insulation. And
So the building is insulated?
the office's kitchen were gonna be, like in my fire hall, I double insulated those. But see, like in my fire hall, they didn't make, if you go in my fire hall, I had extra, wafer board left over, like at Petway. So I lined the walls with it and painted it, but it doesn't go all the way up. Codes is making the roof, inside ceiling, the walls, stuff like that. It's not cheap. I didn't have to do that.
Quote, they're looking at 6 inches insulation.
state fire marshal?
Well,
or-
I'm just saying the building codes, Mr. No. Like the codes required me at the fire hall to put a sprinkler system in because we have fire hall. And I had to put, a Ansel system over the stove, and I had to put a fire alarm in. Fire alarm, they made me, after they came, made me make changes to it, so. That's being monitored, so you don't have to worry about that at this building. I'm just saying those are some changes that was made. I was in on that, so.
Mr. Note, you was asking about, going through the old jail, because I know a lot of us went through it a year or so ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to go through and see what exactly is stored in that jail that's gonna be stored in all this extra space over here.
Mr. Rice, could you get with Mr. No and take him through it sometime like you did us? I think it would be it's eye-opening to see it.
I got a few pictures here I took today that, just kinda, you know, if I gotta stay in this building, we're gonna have to start doing some repairs, but, it gives you an idea, you know, standing water, there's standing water down there in that basement right now, and there always is. I got always full of water. Breeding ground for all kinds of bad stuff.
Well, I'm not denying that you need to move out of that building. I mean, I
Yeah,
know
no,
you need to move out of that building. What I'm saying is, you said you had stuff stored in there that
Yes.
that need to be thrown away.
Yes.
If you've got stuff thrown in there, then you probably don't need all this extra space and all, but we've got it, so now we've gotta deal with it. I mean, if everybody went back and looked at all, and you could go back 2 years, this building would probably be half the size. Do what?
How long? We need to look on down the future a little bit. I'm not saying that may not be a little big, Mr. Randy, but why are we building something that's gonna fit our need today? We need to be looking for 30 years down the road. I challenge you to say, with the facility we got out back here behind us, is it gonna last us for 30 years? Is it gonna meet our need for 30 years?
30 years down the road, you go and you add on, like you do when you have kids.
So add on back here and add on to that. We don't have space to add on, Mr. Randy. We got the shell there. Let's do what we need to do with it now.
Well,
I'm not
I know
suggesting
that's
we
what I'm
spend the
saying, we
money.
need to do something with it, but it just looks like it's, you know.
Build the shell. I'm not saying. Let's be practical about what we're doing. That out of his space because it's there. The building's built. We just gotta decide how we're gonna move forward with what we've got there. I would never suggest we go in there and cut 1,000 square feet off the back of that building. That'd be the most asinine thing we could ever do.
Well, the architect will be here Monday, maybe we can ask him some questions about,
That's what
I got interested about the,
fixing to ask Ed. The architect has got the plans drawn up where the commode, the sink, everything, plumbing, the electrical. Why are we doing one bid for everything? Why can't Edwin or you? Y'all bid it out. You know, to me, we're gonna get a better bid. I don't know, but that makes sense to me, you know, we could just bid it, advertise, you know, with, somebody do the concrete, somebody do drywall, metal studs. I think we'd get a lot better bid than we would whole shooting match.
All that in place, get the inspection
You're saying it'd be better just to have that one guy than 6 guys you gotta try to pin down and hold.
That's what a general contractor,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, whoever the general
my
contractor is,
recommendation, rather than trying to break it out, do it ourselves.
general contractor's not gonna do all of it, he's gonna sub it out. I mean, he's gonna-
You could hold him solely responsible, as opposed to trying to track down 6 people, that's his job. If it's wrong or something's messed up with, that's the general contractor's job if he subs it out. I don't know much about construction, so correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the way that I take it, is he's responsible for all of his subs, and if they do something wrong, then he tracks them down and says, hey, you need to fix this, it's not right, or it's not what we agreed to.
Go-to man.
He's carrying the
So the architect will be here Monday night. We can ask him questions.
I ask is,
The longer you bid it out, the more times you do it, the more money it's gonna cost.
All right. So y'all want to put this on Monday night to discuss or to go over it and give the mayor green light to bid it out? Okay, Monday night? Any more questions? All right, under new business, with gentleman here to talk to us about a countywide app. Yes, sir.
All right, my name is Tyler Mays. First, I want to thank you all for having me, Mr. Chairman. Up on the screen is going to be a little presentation I'm following along, but again, this is informal. I wish I'm a commissioner in Anderson County. I kind of wish we had a workshop like this before our full commission meetings. We just go through committee and sometimes there's surprises. So I really like this format. So a little bit about us, we're the govapp.com. We have all kinds of different brands that you see in the middle. We've been around for 15 years. We've built we've built more than this, but right now we're close to 1,200 clients across the country. I am the Tennessee rep. I live in East Tennessee. As you can see, we've got the sheriff, fire department, public health, EMA. But the app that I've met with some of your officials on would fall under our Gov app brand because there's just so many different things represented in there. And again, we're in 48 states across the country. Just to give you an idea, in the yellow is where we have a presence. And when we talk here in just a second, at the end of the day, an app is an app. It's all about what you put in it. But as you can see, as far northeast as Johnson County, as west as Shelby, we have in size. So we get a lot of questions. Well, are we big enough, or are we too big? Metro Moore has an app, and I think there's probably more people in this room right here than there is in that county. But again, we build and customize for what you guys would want. The gentleman to my right is Jay Baker. He's our vice president, so he helps me in Tennessee. So a lot of this stuff that we've kind of addressed, and I've got some answers with Sheriff Binkley and with Cindy and the others that I met with. I think I was here about 10 days ago. My wife, I'll tell you a quick story. I've contributed to your hotel tax the last couple of weeks, and I'm telling you, the service in Cheatham County is phenomenal. The reason I say that, multiple reasons, but one, my kids really agreed to come because of the Otis Spunkmeyer cookies that they have at the Hampton Inn. Well, this week, it's oatmeal raisin. And as you can imagine, the doghouse is not too good when you're 3.5 hours away from home. The hotel staff, when we came back from sidelines, had chocolate chip cookies and a thing from, I guess, Walmart or somewhere, right there in front of our door. So I just want to tell you the customer service it's phenomenal. But I'm sure that's probably consistent across the county. So we talked about,
you know, the Facebook, Instagram, all the other things that you guys do, traditional media, website. Then we really started drilling down with instant notifications. So how do you all connect with the citizens in real time? If there's a motor vehicle accident that's shut down a roadway, or if there's community events you want the public to know about, if there's inclement weather, so tornado warning, how quick is that getting out to the public? And we also live in a day where no one wants to sign up for anything anymore. I was in Anderson County at the sheriff's office, we had code red. We had it forever. 80,000 people in Anderson County, we had about 318 people signed up for it. I was reluctant. I was a customer of this company and joined, but we now have about 17,000 downloads of the app in Anderson, in addition to other means. So we're just getting the message out there. So what can an app offer you guys? What can it look like? I did a little mock-up of what an app could look like for Cheatham County. And when you see this stuff, these are just placeholders. Nothing here is concrete. You guys know Cheatham County better than I do, and better than our company. So we work with you all to find out what are the best features for you all? What are the pain points? When citizens are calling in, what are they calling about? And those are the things that we build and put in there so you guys can address it. And as you all know, I look around the room everywhere I go across the state. Everybody has one of these things. I think the freest I ever been is when my phone had a cord to it. But this is the world we live in now, and so everything being at our fingertips, that's the citizens are wanting that. We got people paying $15 in delivery charge to get Taco Bell Grubhub to them. You know, it's a different climate, and as officials, this is a way for you all to control the narrative. You know, Facebook, Instagram, all those things are great, but you know, you also have sometimes you have those citizens that just are not the most pleasant. So you all get to control this. So some features that we talked about, and I'm sure there'll be some questions, but anywhere from submitting a tip for law enforcement, inmate rosters, county commission information, your agendas, your minutes, contact information. I can tell you, I'm chairman of commission in Anderson. There's times I wish I didn't have my contact information out there. But having an app, it's so much easier for them to reach out to me, and it's easier for me to be in touch with them. Hiring, there's, pay your property taxes, look at your all's GIS mapping, pay court fines. All of those things can be encompassed on that one thing, on this one phone. And again, so much more, whether it be EMA, I know with opioid money coming down, that's a big part of funding that we're getting for clients. Drug education, treatment centers, all of those things can be included. So this is what a push notification would look like. So for an example, let's say MVA on one of your roads and it's shut down both lanes of traffic. It's going to pull up on their phone sort of like a text message. It's going to be identified as Cheatham County government. It's going to have your all's logo or your seal, and then the message that's in there. You can put images in there. You can also break it up in the county. If it's the north end of the county that's got something going on that the south end really doesn't need to be bugged with, then there's ways to almost geo map it in our push notifications in the channels that we have. That just gives you a good idea of what one would look like. And again, I'm running through this because I feel more informal and we can talk about it. But the other thing that we do as a company is we provide marketing and graphics for you all. So, okay, we've got an app. Well, how in the world do people get to it? That's kind of where we come in too. We help. The best way to get your app downloaded is to get it in the hands of the kids in your schools, in their folder, their take-home folders. And that's how you get it in front of the parents. And there's a myriad of ways. We went door knocking. We did all kinds of things. And clients across the state do all kinds of things to get folks to download this. Later down the road, 6 months down the road, you want to highlight something. It's all part of the cost. Our graphics team, we're all in-house. Everything we do, we don't farm anything out, no third party. We lean in and help you guys do that. Because at the end of the day, if it's not a success for you all, it definitely ain't a success for us. Control panel, I don't want to bore you guys too much with the control panel because, again, that's going to be for everyday administrators here. But you will get to see how your app is doing. How many people are downloading? What are they looking at? I will go ahead and tell you, it's no secret to anybody, with an app in any county across our country, the number one feature is who's in jail. That's what everybody wants to see. They want to see who's in jail. That will drive your app. That drives everyone's app. From Miami-Dade in Florida to, again, Moore County in Tennessee. If they don't have an inmate roster, the app is dead. And one of the things that we have as a company, we're the only company in the country that can do this. Victim notification is so important in law enforcement. But I don't know if you guys have ever tried to use VineLink. It is not the most easy website for someone to go navigate. It is bulky. You gotta know a lot of information before you even get on there to find it. We have a way that just by looking on the inmate roster, you make a click of a button and then put in whatever your contact information is. If you're the victim of domestic violence, or you're the victim of theft, or whatever the situation may be, or if you're just really nosy and want to know when your neighbor gets out of jail, you can put that information in, and the moment that they get booked out, it comes to you. You get notification. Again, that's something we take great pride in because there's a lot of app developers in the world, but we're the only one that gets that with VineLink. All right, I'm going to skip this because I know what the most important question is in the room, because I would have the same one. What does pricing look like? So year one to build this app, and again, this would be for all the departments across the county, would be just under $15,000 for year one. $7,990 would be the annual maintenance, and that includes the Vine inmate roster that I've referenced. That's something that we charge as a pass-through. We're not allowed to make money off Vine. That's one of their rules as a vendor. It's a service that they provide, so we get billed, and then you guys get billed for it. Threw another option in there, and I'm glad I did with the EMA director here, is I don't know if you guys have iPaws or a feature of some type of iPaws notification. It's as real instant notification as you get. That's also something that we do. So if your folks don't want to download the app, they're hitting off one of your cell towers or anything like that, and you've got a message that needs to go out to the masses. Look, I live just 6 miles from Y-12 in Oak Ridge. They're handling nuclear material every day. And then on the other end of the county is Norris Dam that's living on borrowed time. And for us, iPaws is as important as it gets. You never know when something's going to happen, especially anytime that you're dealing with a TVA structure, anything like that. So that's another feature. That's another thing that we have. I just want to throw that out there. We didn't really go into much detail about that when I was here a week and a half ago. But those are the hard numbers. I'm hesitant to even talk about what you all just talked about. I can tell you, $1,495 is the hard number. So I'm going to go up. $7,990 is the annual maintenance. I encourage all of the counties to lock in a 2 to 3 year contract, because in our contracts as well, we don't have increases year after year. So if you've got a 3-year deal, it's that price for 3 years, period. Nothing goes up. I can't tell you in 4 years that our company may not change. the history shows that we have been very level on our pricing. But those are the hard numbers. Again, we could talk a lot about the need and the importance of an app. And I'm happy to answer any specific questions you have. But there's nothing out there today, not even Facebook, with your algorithms and everything that you have to go through. If you're trying to find something on Facebook, I mean, if you're hoping Facebook notifies you, it's not going to happen. You have to go dig for it now to be able just to find anything. And the cool thing is about this app, you all do have social media presence. So if you all send something out that says, well, it's already past the deadline now, but pay your property taxes. Taxes are due on this day. Here's the deadline. On the back end, it's going to do a notification on Facebook and your social media platform native to it, and you don't even have to get on it to do it. It's automatically going to do it from the app. Integration too, as a part of this. Sex offender registry is another popular feature. There's only 4 states in the country that let you pull directly from it. And it's just so much user friendly. Pull it up, shows you a map of Cheatham County. You can pin it to see. You can put your address in there, or you can just see. Mr. Chairman, I mean that's it for the presentation. What we did, a couple of weeks ago was we had a lot of just conversation about it, and I felt, and I don't want to speak for the sheriff or Cindy and the others who may be in here, but we walked away thinking that this would be good for Cheatham County. But I can tell you, as a customer and now as someone who uses it.
Also had mentioned that it had an option to do like a county employee only with password protection.
Yeah, so county, so the PIN protection channels that you guys could have, it's unlimited. If you wanted to have private channels that only went out to your employees, not the county, but just Cheatham County employees. If there's a message that only goes to public safety or one that's for commission, or really the sky's the limit, we can create private notification channels that employees would be the only one that would have access. So if it's inclement weather or if it's whatever the message is that you guys need to send, all kinds of different things, but I am more than happy to answer any questions. I do appreciate the opportunity to come out here again. Other than when I go through Davidson County, it's always a pretty drive. And again, I appreciate the hospitality that you guys have, county has shown me since I've come out here.
You guys in Anderson County use this?
Yeah, Anderson, we just signed Roan. So in that little area, Loudon, we do have Davidson, Shelby, Scott County. So one of the things I'll tell you that's becoming more popular is the single app with more offices. It makes a lot of sense. Now, your big counties like Shelby or Davidson can get away with having multiple different apps. It's so big. But that sweet spot between 40 and 70,000 are what we're finding is buying an app and putting everything in there. Cost efficient. So like Scott County, for example, we are close to being done with that one. It is every single official in the county. Montgomery County initially started out with Sheriff Fuson having his own app. Well, that's now moved into more of a county. They've rebuilt theirs. That is the theme that we're seeing. Sheriffs Sometimes they're in their own little circle because they've got different inmate and visitation and all of that kind of stuff. But we are starting to see in that kind of population range is where it's moving.
What app do you have in Nashville?
So in Davidson County, one of our first clients ever was Nashville Fire. So we built one for Nashville Fire. We have one for the Davidson County Circuit Court. That's all we have in Davidson. Shelby, golly bum, I think we have.
You have Hub Nashville in Nashville?
Uh,
Are y'all Hub Nashville?
no, so I live in Anderson. The headquarters.
No. Nashville has I don't know if it's an app. I look at it on my
Oh,
phone.
yeah, no,
Hub
no.
Nashville.
No, we are not Hub Nashville.
Well, like they have a thing on theirs. Could you put it on? Like, could you incorporate it on ours where like I use it because I work in Nashville, but there's a pothole. If it's on a Davidson County road, you can pinpoint exactly where it's at, and when they fix that pothole, they'll send you a notification that it's been fixed. And I can put one in there in 24 hours. It's done.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we have many potholes on our county roads that are kept up so well. But state roads is a different story. But
Yeah, so what we have is there's different features, but one could be, report damage or damage report, or, that submit a tip I was talking about could be really anything. So they could report a pothole, they could report tree down or whatever, whatever the situation may be. And they can be as precise as the exact latitude and longitude of that location. The difference with some of those other features, like Hub Nashville, for an example, is that response back. There is probably and I would have to ask our engineering team, there's probably a way to do that. But for off the cuff, we don't send anything back that says, hey, this is done. Now, if there's something that's already in place that is already out there that you all have like a embedded web link, that's something that we stick in there and it would function just as that would function.
I was wondering, when you mentioned the fire department in Nashville, I was wondering if that was one that you all, I've had it for a while. My wife works there and uses the station location function all the time.
Yeah.
If she has to travel out, because she just didn't get to the south side of the county or wherever. So, yeah, it's pretty useful because, I mean, you can pay your EMS bill off of that. I get notifications all the time about weather or if they're doing tornado siren testing and all those things.
The Nashville Fire, it's a testament to the company, not to me. I didn't sign those guys, so it's a testament to the support that our company provides. I'm telling you, that's why I was a customer for as long as I was, and I came on board. We had Nashville Fire. Can you imagine how many vendors are going in there trying to get their all the time? Well, for us, we've had them for almost a decade now. Putnam County was the very first client we signed in Tennessee about 13 years ago. We still have those guys. So me aside, if I'm sitting in this chair or not, I can tell you from a support side, it'll be one of the best support vendors you've ever had. And I'd put my paycheck on it. They're that good because, and it's one of those where you can talk to Nashville Fire or any other clients. It's definitely not us ugly reps that travel the state. It's our core.
How much stuff can each department add to an app? So like,
There's really not a limit. Of course, the whole point of an app is to be, efficient and kind of very prompt and.
I mean, I noticed they had like the bill payment on there, but like, so Cindy's office may have bill payment for something for taxes, but there's even a place on there like the fire department, you can request a fire report. So I mean, like the sheriff's office, I guess we could have them request a police report if they wanted it, or like if you come to the police department and get a crash report, you have to pay the state for it, but could that be linked to where they could?
Yeah, all of that can be linked. We also create custom forms. If there's things that any department, you're like, oh my gosh, I wish we could just have this thing on an app or on a website. They could just email it to us instead of having it in paper form. We create those all the time. That's another thing that we do. Yeah, that's a good question, and yeah, we.
Additional cost for that?
$7,990, if I may, just real quick, sorry, but $7,990, barring you coming saying, annually saying, all right, we don't want anything on here, we don't want the colors, we want to change our name, we want to change everything, there might be a little. Outside of that, 6 months down the road, you say, I don't want this feature.
So like EMS, we have, that does this. Two versions of it. If I have any changes, like medical protocols, I mean, you could take CPR today, and the guidelines are gonna be different tomorrow. So I would have to send my updates to them, and then they would update the app, as opposed to we pay for the full version, where we can edit on the fly. That's the way this is, so.
It's both. So all, what you have here is like in that control panel, you can go in there, unless it's a code specific thing that our engineers need to go in and do. So not technical code that I just don't even understand. And those are things that the county can do. You can go, if it requires any kind of thing like that, it, requires any functionality, then you won't even be able to see those things, change it, but we would do that for you guys. There is a lot, but the process is all encompassing.
One of the things I liked about it, I'll just say, is all of us being together in one thing. Our property owners and constituents do not have to go to my website for information, and then go to Cindy's website for information, and then Chrissy's, and then Tim. They don't have to do that. It's all right here in their hand. And I get a lot of calls and a lot of people in my office wanting to know who their commissioner is. Who's my commissioner? Who's my commissioner? And I'll say, well, I don't know. I don't know what district you're in. Pull out your voter's registration card. Well, I don't have my card. I don't know. So with this, the election commission could actually be on there with the district maps. They go on there, they find their street, they see what district they're in, and bam, they go right into their commissioner's contact information. I think that would be the greatest.
So like on our, I'm looking at our Cheatham County government website right now. So is your app, is it just gonna take everything that's on that website, say, and put it on the app?
If that's what you guys want.
But I mean, like right now, I can go looking for like Cindy's department. Is it on there, Mayor?
Yeah, it's on there. Keep looking.
So I mean, so right now, I mean, we can go on a person could go on the website and find it. What will make it different other than, I guess it would be on my phone? Small enough I
I
could.
think the big difference is just the efficiency of it, is not having to sit down at a desktop or not having to look around your computer. And two, it's more of just, you're not typing anything in or directing a mouse, you're just, within two buttons, within two tabs, I could get to Cindy's pay taxes online. It's all just right here. I can be down at the sideline, watching a ball game, eating a burger, and pay my taxes. Or, yeah, or I could say, okay, well, on the way home, it's, and two, I mean, just the notification aspect of reminding citizens of different events or court costs is due, or, I would think just the efficiency and the expediency of it.
How secure is the payment side of it?
So we are just a pass-through. So if whatever Cindy has set up, we are literally just passing through it, so that security stays in place.
So like if I go in here and hit pay property taxes, if I go to your app, it's gonna take me to the same place that I go to on
Yeah,
her.
it's gonna be in a mobile-friendly format, so we don't collect data, and we don't collect any that's something we don't do. That, again, we would be a pass-through. Now, if the vendor wants to do an integration with us. Obviously, clearly it would make it a better feature, but with it being a web format, a web-friendly format, it's gonna look native to the app.
Is this something the commission's interested in looking at further? It's something we just bring through budget, wouldn't it, Mr. Mayor?
I would say as recurring expense, I would bring it.
Is this something the commission's interested in looking further into?
Talk about it more. Take it to budget.
Sound good? Anything else? Anybody got any more questions?
Do you like it? Budget?
But everybody's heart in my budget.
So the main thing is, can I go on there, if we did this, can I go on there and see who's in jail?
I do have one question, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Where should I take my family to eat after this?
Oh, Colos.
I've been to Sidelines.
Closed on Monday.
Everything's closed on Monday.
Oh, that's right, it's Monday.
Forget that. Go to Clarksville.
No, I'll tell you where you can go. Lakeview on River Road.
All the Mexican restaurants are open.
Gotcha. Perfect. Well, again, I appreciate you all for having me and indulging me.
All right, any more questions? We'll move on. Mr. Wilkerson, Building Department? We got 3 items.
Yes, sir, I've got 3 items up for rezone. Camber, Lamonaco Dimmers, and Kevin Dimmers requesting a zone change from C5 to C1 for map 23, parcel 88.01. Property is located at 5445 Highway 41A in the 2nd voting district and is not in a special flood hazard area. Item 2, Cherry Bishkoff requesting a zone change from agriculture to R1 for a 1.92 acre portion of map 26, parcel 47.09. Property is located 1139 Pardue Road in the 4th voting district and is not in a special flood hazard area. Item 3, Randy Fox requesting a zone change from E1 to R1 for a 1.5 acre portion of map 12, parcel 7.02. Property is located on Old Clarksville Pike in the 3rd voting district and is not in a special flood hazard area.
Anybody have any comments or concerns on any of these?
Items 2 and 3, I've received phone calls about, not had any issues. My district, but there hadn't been any issues.
Item 1's in the 2nd district, Mayor. I haven't had anything. Randy, you had any? All right. Any more questions?
Yeah.
Any questions for Mr. Wilson? Moving on, budget.
Thank you, Chairman. The Budget Committee did meet this afternoon in our regular session. County General Budget Amendments, Circuit Court for $4,100. Funds from the Circuit Court's data processing laptop and upgrade the digital. Item the Sheriff's Department for $40,000 is transfer law enforcement. First section is Control, $1,000. This is to accept $1,000 from the Mutt Nation Foundation for use by Animal Control. And the last budget request in item 1 is from the Accounting and Budget, total of $5,504. This is transfer budgeted funds needed to cross-train a full-time clerk that is replacing a clerk that is leaving coming up in May and June. First of item 1. Any question on any of those? Move on to item 2. Item 2 is general purpose school and education capital projects. Dr. Watson was here on behalf of the school board. They are requesting $180,000 from their general purpose fund balance to purchase marquees for the middle schools. You recall, last year they did this for the high schools. Now they're trying to tackle the middle schools, both the north, central, and south cluster, for the $180,000. Next item we dealt with today was a discussion brought by Chairman Williamson to take a step to figure out what VSO may need, and what would be for the mayor to reach out and try to get an architect involved, consultant. We're asking for the okay on that next Monday. All these, including this discussion, all passed in a 4-0. Any questions on any of that or the VSO?
All right, you see your information in the packet for Sycamore Square, fund balances, sales tax. Moving down, Mr. Mayor, your section.
Sir, we have 6 items for your consideration this evening. First item is a vote for the mayor's signature on memorandum of understanding between Cheatham County and the Cheatham County Community Enhancement Coalition. In a nutshell, this group has received a grant over the next 4 to 5 years. They are wanting to help the county and the drug recovery court that happens right here in this building. And they are wanting to cover some of the one-time expenses, not the payroll, but one-time expenses they may have from computers, travel, different expenses in that department, and they're asking to basically do that. Now, it is a reimbursement, so the county would pay for it, but it is part of their budget now, and then I think it's for a 5-year grant. A nice positive impact to help fund some of the recovery court. You may recall last year in the budget, we funded $102,000 to start the recovery court with a full-time, part-time office expenses, what they had. And after the first year, I think finally getting on their feet, they've hired some people. Coalition is just wanting to step up. All right, item number 2, confirmation of the mayor's recommendation of Jill Nikolic to the Cheatham County Planning Commission. This appointment would fill the opening from the resignation of John Wern this month. I believe he's leaving the area. That term runs through December 31st of 2029. You may recall we just renewed John's term. Any questions of Planning Commission or Jill Nichols? Not familiar with Jill. She serves and has served for the last 5 years on the Pleasant View. She deals with it a lot like y'all do. After the recommendation is made from Planning Commission, item number 3 is confirmation of the mayor's recommendation of Hal Bryant to the Cheatham County Rail Authority. The appointment fills the opening following the death of this gentleman was recommended by Commissioner and spoke to the gentleman, very well versed on roads. He would be a great That's a recommendation. Any questions on Hal? Hearing none, we'll move on. Number 4 is confirmation of the mayor's recommendation of Jill Dillingham to the Cheatham County Rail Authority. This appointment fills the opening following the resignation of Gina, our ECD director, who's with us tonight, in her ECD capacity. Her off the board once it came to our attention that Rail Authority was set up, you had to live either in Cheatham or Davidson County. Slightly outside. She lives on the wrong side of the tracks over in Coopertown. So we've she'll still be involved with the board and attend the meetings in her capacity as ECD. But in that is Jim Dillingham. Hopefully you're familiar with Mr. Jim. Jim came to our help. This was probably 3 years ago. Water Wastewater Board that oversees the sewer system. He now chairs the Water Wastewater Board. He also he's an engineer. He's got a great background on that board, and he'll be a good plus for the rail authority. Any questions about Jim? All right, hearing none. Number 5, confirmation of the mayor's recommendation of Rachel Dutton to the Solid Waste Regional Planning Board. This is a second term that would begin at the end of March. Also on that board is confirmation of the mayor's recommendation of Charles Moorhead, current Pegram mayor, to the Solid Waste Regional Planning to a first term that also would begin following March 31st. Mayor Moorhead will replace former mayor John Lou Allen on that board. The Solid Waste Board basically we meet once a year to approve, review the solid waste report for Cheatham County. Amount of garbage we process, how much is recycled. We have short-term, long-term plans. Any questions of those two? I'm real leery of this girl right here, Rachel, but other than that, I think we should be pretty good. But any questions of any of those, by all means?
Any questions?
I'd just like to say, Mr. Mayor, with Hal Bryant, Mr. Dillingham, Mr. Moorhead, I don't think there's any better folks in this county. Dillingham personally, know Mr. Moorhead, Hal Bryant, and all of them gentlemen, they bring a lot to the table. I'm gonna tell you.
Anybody have any questions for the mayor? All right, moving along, Mr. Bly.
Good evening. I've got one item on my section of the agenda, and that is for the commission to consider and hopefully approve the rate of compensation for the delinquent tax attorney. The state law provides that the trustee selects the delinquent tax attorney with the approval of the county mayor, but it is up to the county commission to approve the rate of compensation. There's a copy of the contract with the delinquent tax attorney. It's Martha Brooke Perry. She's been doing it for years. Compensation is 10% of the tax collected. That's the same amount that it's been for as long as I've been coming to these meetings, and that's the maximum compensation allowed by statute, but as the typical compensation for delinquent tax attorneys in other jurisdictions. So if anybody has any questions, I'm glad to answer those, but this is something we do every year just to approve the level of compensation.
Any questions about this?
That's all I have unless anybody has any questions.
Not hearing none. County officials, Ms. Barney, have you anything? Cindy Perry. What you got for us tonight?
I'd like to address Mr. Lowe, and I have a business card, Mr. Lowe, I would like to give to you. I would like to get with you at some point, let's talk about the tax relief statement. But I know he's wanting to talk about the tax freeze. If y'all got a few minutes, I don't mind going over that with you. I do want to tell you, though, your value of your home does not matter. You can have a home that's worth $1 million and you can still apply for tax relief. It is the maximum market value on which tax relief is calculated is $31,800. So there's a few things, but I would like to meet with you if you've got time. On the tax freeze, we can have the state come out if y'all want. We did a presentation, I think they were here November of 2023 and did an hour-long presentation. They're willing to come back and do it again if y'all would like to readdress that and just think about it again. There are differences in relief and freeze. There are 26 counties that are on tax freeze right now. Some of those jumped on in 2007, which is when the law passed. Not many have joined it since 2007. There are several cities. Right now we have 452, they call them, they're considered elderly. I don't consider them elderly, but they're 65 and older. We have 405 on tax relief. We have 47 new applications. So we have 452. They can continue to apply this year till April 5th. The income limit right now is based on the 23 income, which is $36,370. So for instance, whoever's on the deed, that's whose income we have to calculate. So if you've got a child living with you and the child is on your deed, as far as an adult child, we would have to calculate their income if they are owners of the home. Grandchild or your minor children, of course, they're not on the deed, their income would not apply. A single person lived there, if I lived alone, it would be based on my income. If I had someone living with me, their income would not be included because they're not on the deed. So if they're on the deed, it's co-owned, all income would apply. The tax freeze, briefly, the minimum income, so everyone, the 452 over 65 applicants that we have now, automatically be approved for tax freeze. They would have to apply, but their income's within the limit. But our maximum is $50,950. So if we were to bring in tax freeze, the income limit would have to be $50,950 for 2024. For 2025, it's going to $52,580. So that's the income. If they're that or lower, they could apply for tax freeze. I mean, that's a law. There's an option that we could go up to $60,000 if we wanted to on income. So then anyone that makes $60,000 or less could apply for tax freeze. The income would adjust each year based on the Social Security COLA. It would take effect the tax year following adoption. The municipalities do not have to adopt a tax freeze. So if Cheatham does it, it doesn't mean the cities have to. So the rates, their tax bill would continue to change unless they adopted it. If they do adopt it and they adopt it after the county adopts it, they would be required to do the income limit that we chose. So we could adopt it at the 50,000 range, or we could go up to the 60,000 range. But whatever we do, if the cities come on board after that, they have to do what we've done. But right now there's 26 counties that participate and 34 cities. The tax amount is frozen, not the property value, the assessment, or the tax rate. So every year the tax rate, if we change it, it's going to change. Their assessments, if there's changes, it will change. During reassessments, it will change. So none of that changes. It's just what they pay. So if they pay $100 in 2024 and we raise the tax rate up and they would then go to $300, well, they're not going to pay $300. They're only going to pay the $100. So the $200 that we lose, that the county is losing in that tax increase, would have to be picked up through other taxpayers, because our budget's going to keep going. We're going to have a budget. If the taxes don't go up, someone's got to pay for that. I don't mind, but that's what I'm saying. The revenue will have to be made up. The property is no more than 5 acres. So if someone has a farm, for instance, the frozen portion of the property is on the principal residence with supporting land and other improvements. 90% of tax-free parcels are frozen in the entirety, which is a typical house and lot. Taxes remain the same even with a tax rate increase or reappraisals unless a physical change occurs. So if they change their land, if there's buildings, barns, houses, a garage, if anything changes, then their tax freeze ends. They now are at their new assessed value, which is already, because that's an ongoing thing, they will come to their new assessed value, and then they're gonna have to reapply for tax freeze again at the then tax amount that they owe. Non-frozen portions of property, land supporting another use such as farm, greenbelt, or commercial industrial, improvements supporting another use such as farm, outbuildings, or commercial industrial buildings, and any additional non-principal residence on the parcel. That's all out, it's exempt from tax freeze. So tax freeze is only gonna be on that main primary residence up to 5 acres, and that's it. And if there's any physical changes to it, then they lose that. They're gonna lose the freeze, and it's gonna go to the then value. It's way more, it's really involved and in-depth. If y'all want me to bring someone from the state back out, say the word and I'll have it done. And I can have them, I can probably have them here at the next meeting.
When he was here last time, didn't he say that the tax relief, you got a better break on the tax relief than the freeze?
Yeah, so the issue, tax relief, most counties that have tax relief and tax freeze, they do not match tax relief. We match tax relief. So that's a benefit. It's every year they get that benefit. On the tax freeze, they may get set at $100, but if we make zero changes, if you make zero changes on the tax rate or the assessments, then say nothing changes in 5 years, they got that one benefit in 5 years. They're really not getting a benefit for the other 4 years, if that makes sense. The benefit comes when there is a change in the reassessment time or property tax rates. That's when a benefit would come to that property
Where you
owner.
would see the benefit in the relief side of things over those course of 4 years.
The freeze would be just when a change is made. The relief is every year. Probably the relief, because they're getting that money back every year. They're getting money from the state and the county. Once they're on it, so when they apply for the first time, we have to see them in person. We have to go through their documents. I mean, there's a lot. Filing federal income tax returns. We've got copies of all their tax returns. We're going through their tax returns. I mean, there's some restrictions. If you've got an irrevocable trust, people put their property in these irrevocable trusts. That you do not qualify for tax relief because you don't own it. The trust owns it. It's not your property. Other trusts are, but not an irrevocable. So people, when they come to apply for the first time, we see them and they have to pay their taxes up front. And they have to be current. If they've got any delinquent taxes, they can't apply. So they have to be taxes. Then year 2, if they're approved, year 2 and on, we deduct it up front. So they get their tax, but we don't even send them a tax bill. They get a voucher, and it will show what their taxes are. Then it subtracts out what the state pays, and then we put in our portion, and we subtract it out, and all they have to pay is the balance. So they're getting that benefit right off the top, starting on year 2. Yes, now with the relief, they don't have to apply every year. We just have to verify their income and their property ownership.
What is the deadline to apply on the freeze,
We don't have the freeze, but the relief,
if we did?
that, I don't know. It's on a rotational schedule. So it looks like based on the time freeze, so you've got year A, year B, and year C. It gets complicated, but it looks like new applicants could apply through January through April 5th.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Approved the left.
Well, they have to apply by April 5th. That's the application. Now, as far as,
Some of them will not be approved until
so this,
set the tax.
no, not really, because the tax freeze is a county program. The state offers no assistance. We have to fund it, we have to cover it, and we have to do it. My office will be the one taking the applications and approving or disapproving people.
The state told us before that it could be, we would set the tax rate before they were approved.
That depends on how
And-
quickly I can get it done.
Huh?
I guess that would depend on how quickly I can get it done.
Well, that's what the city said. In reality, you could be setting the tax rate and not knowing how many is gonna be approved for it. So it would be a shot in the dark.
I'll be glad to. The county would have to, I've got one.
Okay.
The county would have to approve it like the surrounding counties have of Cheatham County, along with the 27 other counties. So I don't know how that would have to take effect. It'd have to be voted on with the commission or what, but the county has to approve the Article 2, Section 28 of the Tennessee Constitution in order to even to adopt and enact.
For tax freeze, yes, the commissioners would have to vote to adopt that.
I'd like you to meet with Cindy and talk to her, and then I'd like to talk to you again after you meet with her. Let me know what you think after.
One last quick question. Why does a Cheatham County citizen work as 3 minutes? An app salesman gets 30 minutes.
Well, some of the elected officials asked me to put him on the agenda, to be able to come and talk to us about it. It's a presentation. No, I did. He asked for an hour and I give him 30 minutes. But he took about 16 on his part of speaking, but yeah, that's how I did it. I made the decision to let him come in and speak to us. Just like if the state come and spoke to us about the tax freeze, you know, we would give them time to do that.
Hold off on getting the state set up for the next meeting right now. I'd like me to do.
It's up to the commission. So on the tax freeze, can you have the tax freeze and tax relief both? You can apply and get both of them?
All the elderly that are on it likely qualify. And then some. We would then go up to the 52,000.
How many, extra personnel would it?
Probably 1 to 2. And another concern would be, which I need now, but another concern would be the storage area that is completely sealed and locked with only certain people that, because we are dealing with personal records. We've got people's names, social securities, date of birth, their income, their income tax returns. We have a lot of documents, titles. I mean, we have a lot of documents on people on tax relief.
Along with CTES. And CTES wasn't a good fit for Cheatham County.
I mean, we would have to work together now, and she would need staffing as well. I'm not sure Cindy's side of it.
Found that Montgomery County and Davidson County, they'll take in more sales tax in one weekend than we'll take in property tax all year. That's why it's a good thing for them. All our sales tax goes to the schools.
County part. So is this something the commission would like to take up in a workshop, have the state come in and talk to us about it again, or?
I'd like for us to think about it this week and decide next week at the meeting. Because I think they'll have a chance to talk by then. I'd like to hear his opinion after that.
Yes, sir, I'll let you speak.
Biggest thing is going to 50,950. Go to a whole lot more. And this tax relief is 52-year-old program is enacted. apply to more seniors and give more seniors. We just can't afford 72% increase. Not living on Social Security. I can't.
All right, guys, let's think about it, we'll bring it back up Monday night. Go from there. Henderson, you have anything? I thought so. Should we? How about Ms. Sher? School board? Anybody have any questions for Mr. Atkins? All right. The extension. Veteran service? Anybody have any questions? All right, moving along. ECD? All right, thank you. Mayor Board? Education? First Services?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. First thing, Council Bly got the, second thing is, I'd like to bring up the discussion about the fire contract negotiations. That and.
Thank you,
Guys,
BJ.
have any questions to?
Awesome. Thank you, BJ. I spoke briefly about this last month where we've been working with the cities and the Pleasant View Volunteer Fire Department trying to hammer out new contracts. We go through this every 4 years, have for some time. I want to give just a brief overview without getting too in length tonight, as I know we're getting late. But because several people 4 years ago, we were going through this process, we're not here, and want to make sure you get a full scope of what's happening across the county. And like I said, we go through these contracts every 4 years. The Pegram Fire Department covers the town of Pegram as well as the Pegram Rural District in the county. And property owners in Pegram, inside and outside of the city, both pay this fire tax that goes back to the city to provide the fire service. So I want you to be aware of that, because that's a little bit different than the other towns. Residents and property owners inside the town limits of Kingston Springs do not pay this county fire tax. So what it's collected is from around Kingston Springs, and when this was set up years ago, we had the cities were kind of their own fire zones, and then outside the cities became Kingston Springs Rural, Ashland City Rural, Pleasant View Rural, and also Kingston Springs and Pegram. And so what has happened in Kingston Springs, they do not pay the fire tax inside the city. So again, it's outside that we collect, and then we take those funds and contract with the city fire department in Kingston Springs to provide the fire service outside into the county areas. Ashland City is the same situation. The town of Ashland City provides and funds its own fire and emergency service to city residents here inside the city limits in Ashland City. But we collect that rural district fire tax, and then we contract with the town of Ashland City to come outside of the city and perform emergency or fire rescue, those type things. Now, the town of Ashland City also covers most of the old Two Rivers district. Several years ago, when this was established, you had a Two Rivers fire district. You also had a Henrietta fire district. Both of those fire districts basically collapsed, and so the Two Rivers was absorbed mainly into the Ashland City area and district. Pleasant View took on the Henrietta. So in Pleasant View, they have outside the city. Now, the city of Pleasant View, and the one thing that's different, this is where some of the things come into change. The Pleasant View Volunteer Fire Department is not a city fire department. When we talk about Ashland City, we're dealing with the Ashland City Fire Department. We're dealing with the Pegram City Fire Department. We're dealing with the Kingston Springs City Fire Department. When we get to Pleasant View, They are a standalone 501c that has developed over the last few decades from a volunteer fire service into what they are now. The town of Pleasant View contracts the same way we do so that they provide the fire service and emergency service. All these moving parts, but I want to just give an overview. So that's what we're kind of dealing with. Fire tax came about, it was a little over 20 years ago, and actually happened in this room. Some of y'all may have been around at that time, but it came about because the town of Kingston Springs could afford to go outside the city to fight fires out in Kingston Springs rural, which were those county areas. And at that time, the chair was Carl Francis, and also we had another strong commissioner, John Haynes, and they basically stopped the meeting at night and said, we're not leaving here till we figure something out, because, and you got to also realize out in rural areas, without that connection of Kingston Springs would respond, the fear was at that time, you only had two, and it may be more than that now, and we got our county fire chief here. We had about two companies, I think State Farm and the Farm Bureau were the only two. If you're out in an area that had an ISO rating of 9 or 10, and that's generally where they can't get there fast enough. You had two insurance, a lot of insurance companies that had that area lost, the support and the all of Kingston Springs come out and serve, they lost their fire insurance or had to go somewhere else, and even property insurance because of the fire. So all of that was going on, and that started some 20 years ago. And when the fire tax started, it started in Kingston Springs, from city and Pegram rural asked for that fire tax too. It was done. Nobody coming this way. There was no fire tax in any of these rural areas I'm talking about. So over the last 20 years, as it became more and more of a cost to in time now, all rural areas in Cheatham County are covered by a fire contract, which is paid by the fire tax collected. Now, the other thing that's happened because of that, and the way it developed and designed was that go to the town of Keys Springs, said, what would it take for you to come out in the rural areas? And I don't remember what the amount was at that point, but whatever the amount was when they started the contract, they go into all the rural areas and say, you have property values of this, we need to set the fire tax this to generate the amount of money that'll pay this contract. It was not consistent across the county. It based on how much that city needed or what area was willing to it's just they've been able to collect a whole lot more fire tax as property values were higher, and that's kind of been funneled into the fire, to be quite honest with you, from the fire tax. Balance, because we're funding a lot more dollars to Pleasant View. What we did last year, and this commission did, carried out a one tax establishing one tax. We now can go back and level out that service across the county. We'll talk about some numbers in a little bit. You'll see firsthand. I started these negotiations with the other thing that's happened in the past, which Don Jordan did, but he loved for some reason getting all these fire going at it. It's like a bunch of over one little Hershey's bar or something other. I mean, they would talk about this, that, and the other, and get totally off track. And so I thought, well, I don't want to do that. And the other thing is, our contract is with these cities. It's between the county and the cities. It's not between the county and the fire department in these three cities. So again, I brought it back and said, well, I want to negotiate with the cities. Now, they're getting their fire departments involved. We're not trying to cut them out. But the county, what I found over time, and I think they also have some of this too, the fire department folks would show up, and they didn't like the deal, and they would go back and tell the city, well, the county's not treating us right, and we should do this, that, and the other. And it just created a bunch of controversy and communications in bad shape sometimes. So what I've done is gone, the three cities, direct to the city, the mayors and that, and said we need to work on a new contract, but I'm not going to get all the fire departments in one room like they've been doing. And they've all been thankful for that. But the other goal, like I said, try to level out the coverage across the county go in that direction to make it work. And so when I would go into these cities, and also Pleasant View, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, my intent was, I said, you know, the county wants to maintain what we have. In this new 4-year agreement, we want to stay where we are. Now, we're not interested in, you know, giving you round-the-clock coverage or anything like that. And I'm going to commend all of them, because and over the years, y'all have heard it too, and I know Edwin's had a front row seat to a lot of this. Nobody came in and said, we need a new fire truck for $700,000. We need this, we need that, anything along that line. And so what actually happened was there was consistency between all of them. Where they are hurting and where they're trying to keep up is in manpower. And Shane Ray told me, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago in Pleasant View, the day of volunteers is dwindling fast, and it's probably even faster now. Mayor Moorhead told me they even had to pay people to work the Pegram 4th of July because they couldn't get volunteers. They had to actually pay people. And so I found that across the county where people were saying, you know, what you're giving us for manpower, we can't get that many hours out of it. And so with that, we took that in consideration, and like I said, trying to level this out. So I've got some slides on where we're at on some of these. Like I said, we'll try to get through them real quick. I don't want to keep y'all hearing later. We have to. Franklin, if you can hit that first slide. Now this is to take you through this. Now this is the town of Ashland City, and again, this is what we've talked about and done. But the other reason I'm here tonight, I need to get a comfort level that the commission is okay with where we're going with this. If we need to change anything, I want to do it right now, because we're at a point where we need to hammer out something and give it to this man right here to hammer out new contracts. So again, if something's off, that's why I'm coming to y'all tonight and need to hear back from you. But the current, like we just take Ashland City. Now this is Ashland City by itself. This year, we are paying Ashland City $240,463.87 in their contract. On top of that is another $100,000, actually it's $100,760 to cover the county out in the rural Ashland City area, and also they have Two Rivers old area. And so the other thing, and it's been consistent with the contracts ever since they started, was an automatic 3% increase year to year. So if in a 4-year contract, you go at 3% to kind of cover the cost of living. 2 years ago, we revamped and went to 4.5% because we knew the spike of inflation and all that was happening. They are all in agreement to go back to the 3% agreement. I have put in there, said we should be open. If it goes back above 4.5% cost of living, we would look at that again like we did 2 years ago. They're okay with everything, we go back 3%. So if we take that, and then if we were to go into a new 4-year contract with Ashland City, it would go year 1, $447,000, year 2, $255,000, $262,000, and then $270,000 in year 4. That's a 3% increase per year. Now, where Ashland City came in with the manpower is that, like I said, that's the current cost right there. What they are telling me, and I got this consistent too, where we're paying out over $400,000 across the county in Pegram, Ashland City, and Pleasant View, and all of them where $100,000, you know, 4 years ago when this contract was put together, the one they're under right now, would get them 2 men part-time, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. So it would cover that area. And what they're telling me, and Pegram, specifically Chief Stewart there, he can't even hire people because in order to hit that hour number, he's at $15 an hour. And so what has happened in Ashland City and Pleasant View, they are paying their firemen $20, $22 an hour. And so what they were telling me in Ashland City, the reason we're looking at that number right there is that in order to still cover with what 100,000 would, as far as the 12 hours, 2 men, 5 days a week, they have been putting money into it, but they're saying they don't know how much longer they could do that or wouldn't do that much longer if we couldn't put some money with it. This would get us to where it covers what we've asked for and what we've had in place. 2 men, 12 hours, shifts over 5 days. The other thing Ashland City asked for is the reason you're seeing this go up. The other thing they asked for, which makes sense to me, is that they want to go from 5 days to 7 days a week with manpower. So this would take them by year 4, and it would go up over the 4 years. It wouldn't come in immediately, but over 4 years, that would cover it at the 233 number right there. And this is the other thing about Ashland City that we need to keep in mind. Ashland City never leaves the county. with fighting fires, but they are line one backup for all the other departments in the county. So that's, I'm open, and I love the idea about possibly 7 days a week, because they will go, if Pleasant View can't respond, or a major fire, they're backup for them, or if Kingston Springs or Pegram, Ashland City is the one that rolls in. And so that happens. So they're the kind of the mid group that backs everything up. And so the other thing to keep in mind too, like I said, we had the $240,000 this year. We had the $100,000 in manpower for Ashland City. And then, this has been ongoing for some time. I think it got to about 200,000. If I recall, it was probably about 6 or 7, 8 years ago, because it started out like $40,000 to the Firefighter Association. It's been 200,000 for several years, and it definitely didn't go up after all the contracts came into play. But what that originally was set up was $27,500 per fire division or department. And so the reason Ashland City is double that, and you'll see it also in Pleasant View, is because, as I said earlier, they picked up 2 rivers. So it went to 55, and then Pleasant View, you'll also see it 55 a year because of what they picked up in Henrietta. So that's added to that. So this is a breakdown on the 4-year contract. And again, this would stay intact. We're not talking about taking any of that. And with the $200,000, the other thing that they do is they pay the departments, and then they use, how much of it, Edwin? 40,000 or so? 45 to, for training, maintain the training facility they have over there off the bypass near A.O. Smith. But that would still be included, and so this would be the contract manpower plus that, so that would be your total each year for 4 years to get Ashland City. Now, again, let me go through all these, and but again, if y'all have any questions, at this point? Because I'm rattling on. If not, Frank will go to the next one. This is Pegram Fire Department. Again, this year, their current contract's $179,416.71, and then we're giving them the same manpower hours have for several years, 100,760. What they have requested is a full-time person. They don't have a full-time person in their fire department. They've got Chief Stewart, but he works full-time job, and they don't have anybody that's full-time there. They've had part-timers, they've had volunteers, and those type things. So what they are asking would be to have a full-time, and again, keep in mind, Pegram pays this tax not only in the rural area, but also city of Pegram. And so if we were, and it's still the 3% inflation rate, but if we were to give them full-time on that, starting at 269, going 294, 3%. And in their manpower part-time, Chief Stewart said, that I said earlier, Chief Stewart was having difficulty even hiring people at $15 an hour on the 100,000, trying to make that work for the number of hours. I said, what would it take to get, and the other departments are paying $20, $21 an hour. If we were to go to $20 an hour, $21, what would that take? And that's what it would take, and then that's like a 3% increase each year on that. That would give us the manpower part-time that's still there. The other option of this, again, if we say we got to cut this cost down, the response back to these fire departments will say, we're going to give you the 100,000 like we've been doing. You're going to have to cut the hours and make it work. Pleasant View, which we'll get to in a little bit, giving Pleasant View $200,000 a year. Their indication was they were putting about 80,000 with it to still make that work. And again, my question was, if you just get the 200,000, what does that do to our manpower? They said it would cut it down from about 5 to 3.5, maybe a little bit more than that, but probably take it down to about 3.5 days a week. So that's where we are right there. And again, Pegram gets $27,500 from the Firefighter Association. So you add that down, here's your total cost for each year for the next 4 years. Go ahead, Franklin. Kingston Springs. Kingston Springs has a current $225,030. What has happened in Kingston Springs is that the county has allowed $30,000 for manpower, and Goodwin's had a front row seat to this also. The thing that's happened in Kingston Springs was that we didn't give them extra manpower because the other reason it kind of came about in the rest of the county is we had fire halls outside in the county areas, in the rural areas. So we kind of were giving that, correct me if I'm wrong, Edwin, but we were kind of giving that to those departments to man those stations that's out in the county that we're paying for. Kingston Springs has no fire hall out in the county. They got one right at the edge, but it's even in the city. we have talked, and Lord knows, Commissioner Hedgepath, we've looked all over that area where we need to place another fire hall. We've got money set aside, and unfortunately, that was several years ago when he was building fire halls and at a good price. When we do build that, we're gonna have another sticker shock, I'm afraid. But that's been there. And so they have, that's the reason it's not 100,000 or 200,000 like Pleasant View. And and I talked to Jeremy Stewart, he was the chief there, and also John Lawless, which is the city administrator for Kingston Springs. He oversees the day-to-day operations in Kingston Springs. What they were asking for is the 3% like we're doing for everybody else, but they also were asking for the manpower to be added to the contract that would equal what Pegram's getting, which would be the 100,000, which with Pegram we're taking to 134. So that's why you're seeing that would be your manpower cost plus the new contract, and of course they get the 27.5, so that would be your totals. And again, that's going to go up, but it'll be the manpower and all that they're all saying they need. Any questions so far? Again, everything we've covered have been three city governments that we're dealing with. Now let's go to Pleasant View. Plot thickens. Okay, Pleasant View, and again, they're a 501c. They started what everyone served with Pleasant View Volunteer.
Started it in 1970.
Yes, and again, it's not a city fire hall like we've been talking up to this point. Their current agreement, that's their, this year, we're paying them in a contract $529,005.55, and that does not include the manpower. They're getting $200,000 for manpower because they have two county fire halls out in the rural area. So 3% minimum, that's what would take that up. And again, what PJ came to me with, he said they're having to put about $80,000 with that to still have the manpower covered. And so I talked to him the first round. I've had a couple rounds. Talked to him first round, and I said, well, I don't want to go 80,000 deep because knowing they're kind of being paid very well right now. If we could get the 80,000 covered, that's where you're seeing 20,000 a year, fourth year of the contract, could y'all live with that and still maintain the level that we're getting? And he said they could. Everything was hunky-dory, everything was great. Again, Pleasant View is one of those, as you see, but in that lower, we've been through it enough. At 55,000, they get from the Firefighter Association, so by the time you add that up, in the new year, the contract would be $819, $875, and 71 cents on up to $930 in year 4, if all this. All right, and then let me stop right here because, like I said, I met with him. 80,000 if we could get to 80,000 by the fourth year, he seemed okay with that. He talked to Ashland City after we worked with Ashland City, and he wants what Ashland City got, even though if anybody here, Ashland City should be asking for what they're getting because they're already overpaid or getting plenty of money to do what they're doing. Let me put it that way. And so anyway, I've been back and forth with BJ, I'm not BJ, PJ, too many initials running around, PJ, and said, you know, we will stick with this if you want to do that. If not, we're going to go back to 200,000. There won't be any increase. And you just give us the hours we got. So he suddenly saw merit in this, that this would work. So, but again, we don't have anything written down and done. But the other thing that came about during this back and forth with PJ was that we made the claim that the county wasn't paying our fair share. And poor boy from Cheatham didn't take too kindly to that because I know the numbers. We were more than paying our fair share. And so anyway, if you go to the next slide, I'll show you how big of a good share we're paying. The Volunteer Fire Department, in its annual report, responded 1205. So if you break that down, Cheatham County, Pleasant View is 52% of their calls. Coopertown and Robertson County, outside of Cheatham County, is 47.23%. Current funding, I'm talking about the current year, the four governments, giving them $1.6 million, $1,624,174 from the four governments. That breaks down with what Cheatham County's given them, and right now we're about four governments. Pleasant View is about 25%. They go down to Robertson County. They're paying 13% of that. That being said, that's where we are. And Cheatham County and Pleasant View is paying about 73%, with about 52% of the calls. Robertson County and Coopertown is paying about 26%, with 47% of the calls. Oh, one other thing before we get back to open discussion on this. We do have one more contract. Now, this is a true, this reminds me of some of the volunteer fire departments that were around 20, 30 years ago. They got volunteers and they respond, and that's the 4-year contract with Harpeth Ridge. They cover a small area on the other side of the Harpeth River going out 49. That would be a 3% increase to what this year they're getting 32.5, and then a 3% increase each year. Chief was happy as could be with that. He had no problem with it. Or anything like that. They're strictly volunteer. As far as I know, they're all volunteer, aren't they, Edwin? But Edwin is our county fire chief, so he coordinates with all this. And let me show you, I've got a slide, a county has worked on this, what if we were to go through with this, and I'll get to the tax thing in a second, but I want to show you what has happened in the current year, which is 2025 under that. If you take the average of the 4 departments, we're paying $442,608 per department. Pleasant View is at $784. They are $341,397 above the average. When you get to Ashland City, they're below the average. The other 3 are below the average. I'm bringing this out to show we are doing very well with Pleasant View, but at the same time, we've got to balance that out a little bit. And again, we can't do it all in 1 year, don't want to do it in all 1 year. They're not asking us to do it all in 1 year. But as you see, if we were to go into what we've just discussed, we then would bring that gap down, that Pleasant View would only be 291 ahead of the average. Ashland City would stay about the same. They lose a little bit of track with what we put in here. Look at Pegram and Kingston Springs, because they've been way under average. They're still under the average, but instead of 134, they're at 97 and 5. So again, closing that gap a little bit. We can't do it all in one time, but this would at least put us in the right direction. I would hope after another cycle or two, we would kind of have that leveled out and either base it on the number of homes you're serving or something that would balance it out across the county. All right, now go to the next one, which I'm sure everybody's wanting to see. If we were to approve everything that we've talked about, there's 2 options on how to pay for it in the fire tax. The top row, if you look over this way under rate, but I do still want to point out to you, not only are these contracts in here that we've all covered, but also if you look under additional expenditures. If you look under additional expenditures, that's what we give Edwin to coordinate all the county fire halls, fire departments. He keeps up the equipment, anything like that he needs. So that is also included in the fire tax, so it's all there. If we, and there's some reserve always floating around in there, what we could do is to maintain the current fire tax of $13.95. If we want to pay for these increases year by year, it's going to be $13.95, $17.75 in year 2027, 19 and a quarter cents, and then in 28, 29, be 20 cents and a nickel fire tax. Now again, this is based on no growth. I mean, even $13.95 should come down based on growth we will receive this year, and the growth will bring that down. The second box underneath is we want to lock in, which cover all 4 years and pay for everything without having to go up every year. At $17.75 on the current tax rate would do that. Here tonight to ask the input from y'all on what y'all feel fair, what we should or shouldn't do. But again, I'm here to hear from y'all.
I'll ask you a question about Pleasant View. Sure. Last year, they were the only fire department that did want the increase. When we went to flat.
I believe that's right.
You ain't wanted, Mr. Weekly, they're the ones that didn't want to go to one fire tax. Them and Kingston. It's them and
Right,
Kingston.
they didn't want it, and they got an increase of.
Got an increase last year? Yeah, they got an increase last year, the 3%. Well, 4.5%. Yeah, 4.5%.
And one thing I want in the contract is no solicited. This right here, they tell, we're transparent. It tells you that you're paying a county fire tax. And I got a guy that lives in Fort Lewis, Washington. He got this right here. He thinks that he's got to pay them. It's not right. We've told, and Pleasant View's the only one. if somebody, like this guy, my constituent, he sends them a check, then it's wrong. If anybody's sending them a check thinking they've got to, it's dishonest. I would like to see us put in there, no solicited.
According to their report, they got $110,000 off those donations last year. Somebody just wants to give them money, that's up to them.
That's fine.
But nobody should be giving it thinking they have to pay that for them
That's
to come
right.
out if they have a house.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Absolutely, it's a promotion group that does that, yeah. When you scan and I got one too, 'cause I live in Fourth District too. When you scan, I thought, well, maybe it tells on the code, but when you scan it, it just takes you to make the payment. It doesn't do that, and I even scanned their website. It doesn't say anything about they're under contract with the four governments that provide that money and funding.
The one that says location, then it gives you all your zip codes that they own over.
I obviously work with the attorney to hammer that out and try to get that in there.
Like the first I know,
Oh, well, the other ones are cities. No, cities.
Auburn them don't do it, Harrison City doesn't do it, so if they get any money from a person that doesn't know, then it's wrong.
I think of my 86-year-old mother, she'd pay it in a heartbeat if I hadn't told her to throw it away.
With Pleasant View not being affiliated with, it's not a government city or county, do they give us an audit since we're giving them all this money?
Yes, fire contracts, they give us.
But is it an audit just saying they passed an audit, or is it a breakdown of everything they spend? Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the original fire contract, I know, let me back up, I know when the north side of the county, Henrietta, Two Rivers, Pleasant View, and Ashland City, when we put fire tax in several years later after Pigram and Kingston. All Pigram and Kingston, then 5 years later, the other four. I believe, and I've got to find the old contract, but I believe those contracts said there would be no in that year, 15 years. I haven't found it.
So much of that discussion when we used to meet separately as emergency services, and we talked about that a lot.
I've brought it up for 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years. It ain't right.
There is language in their contract limiting their solicitations, but it doesn't prohibit it completely.
I would like it to be prohibited.
Mr. Mayor, what are you needing from us? A nod on,
I want input before I go back, because again, of course, they've got to go back to their boards and the cities to approve the contract. But it's at a point where if we've got everything nailed down or can nail everything down, I can give to him for contracts. But I didn't want to give this to him, and y'all say, we're not going to do that, because then we got to start all over again. This man works by the hour, so we don't want to frugal with that. And so anyway, that's where we're at. I just need to overall on the right track. Do y'all want to see something different? Is that money? I mean, it's always too much money. I understand that. Again, this would lock in and have us in good shape for next year. Backwards, that was my main goal. Start to level out the coverage, top to bottom, in the county, side to side.
So the top box is what proposed.
Well, they're both proposed. What this is 2 ways to pay for it. Now, on the top box is saying if you want to do the increase per year, that's what it would do to the fire tax in year 4. It would take it from, this next year, we could do it without having to touch the fire tax. It'd be $13.95. But in the 4th year, it would go up because you're going up each year. The bottom one says we'll lock in $17.75 on the fire tax, and then we don't have to mess with it. It shouldn't have to come back up for the next 4 years. But that would pay for all for it. Because what it does, it gives you more of a reserve up front, and you use that toward the back end. But it locks it in, so you know how it is. We go every year and say we got to raise fire tax every year. Still gets on people's nerves, say you're raising. This does lock it in for 4, and we still have the coverage there at 1770. Yes, yes, that locks it in, should lock it in for 4 years. And again, keep in mind, it should be less than that, 'cause we have growth in the penny, that 1775 would come down. That's based on today's tax rate of 1395.
I like the locked-in rate. I like
That makes the
keeping it
most
the
sense to
same.
me. Same rate, it can't go up, whatever. I mean, obviously, it's gonna go down. And that will also allow, like, if the cost of living, let's just say,
Well, you'd have a little bit of reserve in there. That definitely covers the 3%. And again, if inflation got carried away, but again, there's some reserve in there, some other things we can do if we had to offset
That law, I mean, that's the length of the.
Yes, yes, that's 4 years. And again, up top would be year by year. We'd have to increase it after the first year to cover it. And then if you go to the second one, we lock in 1775, and we're not talking about an increase for fire contracts or the fire tax, hopefully for 4 years. Again, with the growth of the penny, it won't be 1775, because we've never had zero growth in the penny for 4 or 5 years. That will come down based on the growth. Edwin?
Those new on the commission or weren't here 10 years ago, we have about 95% of our properties, meaning house or businesses, within 5 miles of the fire station. People in Thomasville, Jacksonville, Pickering, that way, 5 days a week, 12 hours a day.
And that's easy.
They have to have medical training, because like in Thomasville, there's not an ambulance.
Again, those are rural areas that we've used this manpower to make sure that, and again, Kingston Springs, it was decreased because we didn't have a rural station, but they've made it very clear. I said, if we ever get a rural station there, we would expect these men to come out. They're still making the calls, and that's what I kind of focus on. This is a contract for them to respond. All of them. We don't want to get involved with what your schedule or what you're doing or. Again, I commend them, because, over time, we've had people come wanting this for a fire truck and speed boats and everything else, and this eliminates all. Their main concern, and rightly so, and across the board, was manpower.
like the mayor said, chief rates side of things is going away. I come from the fire service. I come from Ashland City, matter of fact, and that's all we did was sit on this square right out here and wait for the next fire call to come out. Nobody does that anymore. You can't ask people to come away from their homes for 24 hours to come volunteer their time. It's almost hard to hire people. I mean, just give them a full-time job and pay them to be here every day. But volunteer status of things is.
But if you've got two paid men within a fire department, me and him, you're paying us to man that fire department. My understanding, what we can do is very, very limited. We can't, just me and him pull up on a fire, we can't go in that structure. So how far will two men really, really go?
Well,
Emergency.
two men can handle medical call, wreck, brush fire. No, for years in this county, for 20 years, if we have a structure fire in this county right now, anywhere in the county, we have automatic aid. If it's in Ashland City's district, the next closest fire department automatically goes. Because with these stations we've built and this 95% of the property being within 5 miles, insurance, as the mayor talked about, 20 years ago, Farm Bureau and State Farm, well now, the insurance ratings, we've got it down to 5s and 4 in the county, where they were 10s and 9s, and it's allowed more competition with the insurance company. But back to what you said, Mr. Hedgepath, we have to send for a house fire, even in Nashville. You'll see a bunch of trucks at the house fires because they just have to send more trucks, more manpower. Nashville will tell you they don't have enough manpower.
My wife works, on an engine. They're assigned 5 people to that engine. 3 of them are all that's ever on an engine because the other 2 are traveling out throughout the city to back. So they never have more than 3 drive, and then you might have 2 that might go in and try to fight a fire. But depending on their SOGs and SOPs and stuff like that, they might not even allow them 2 to go in because you gotta have 2 in and 2 out, kind of a rescue thing. I'm assuming that's still a standard.
It is. We've had several house fires in the last 2 months, and we've averaged, I'd say, between 12 and 14 firemen at the scene.
If it wasn't for automatic aid and things like that, we'd be in trouble. Some of these folks would be.
I just can't see where you say that on the bottom here, the same tax rate for 4 years. I don't see how, if we implement that, I don't see how you can, how you can guarantee that. I just don't see that with the way things are continually going up. We adopt that policy, but can we live, can we, will that honor itself, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, we've been doing it. The last 4 contracts paid.
I mean,
Paid what the last 4 called for. You can set it. Where we got in trouble one year, Mr. Jordan, because we were new to this, you can set it where it pays 4 years. Contracts, we've never been short of money.
No matter, if we set it there and Kingston Springs comes in 2 years and says, we gotta have money,
They've signed that contract for 4 years.
They're gonna sign it for 4 years.
They gotta sound like.
Yeah, they gotta sign it for 4 years.
That's what I was asking too, Mr. Jimmy.
Yeah, they have to.
That's what I was asking.
Those departments have to adhere to that contract.
Okay, well, I didn't know that they would have to adhere to it for 4 years. When they sign, if we adopt that, they sign it for 4 years, end of story.
We're good for 4 years.
I mean, they would have a clause if, you know, if something really strange happened, but overall, and it's never happened, they've always, lawyer answered the question, but there is something there that there's a back out clause for either side if something happens.
Well, the parties can cancel the contract, but they've already agreed to that amount of money. We haven't had that problem in the past, but either the county or the fire departments can terminate the contract.
Your fire department is just that. Your fire department. And if everybody decides they want to pack up and go to Florida in the morning,
Don't have a voting.
there you go.
That's true.
But this county, we can't afford to have 4 or 5 full-time fire, you know, it just ain't practical. You can't do it. But I've always said that word volunteer is just what it says. It's a volunteer fire department.
And I will say this, that we have been blessed in this county. Fire plan, 11 years old, and y'all approved for the next 10 years, 5 years that we've done. Go to other counties our size, bigger than us. Do it, we're ahead of other counties, and I'm telling you, and I'm in the business, but I've been all over the state and here. Middle Tennessee, what do y'all do? How do you do it? Fire's just as hot here, and heart attacks are just as bad here as they are in Nashville, Memphis, or anywhere. Call 911 till you called it. I know 2 minutes seems like an hour, but.
Those volunteers are a different breed of people. It takes a special individual to volunteer his time for absolutely nothing to get rattled at 2 in the morning to get out of bed and go fight a fire. But But it is, I mean, those people, thank goodness for those folks.
I've had conversations with Mayor Rao. Love to have something like this. Where we were 20, 25 years ago, Dixon County, and you think, well, they're bigger.
They got some,
Have a couple now.
they got some county.
Montgomery County's one that has, unless they put it in this year, but a couple years, they have no. They have one or two administrators, they have stations, and volunteers, there's no.
I will take this back, PJ, on the donations.
And I don't care how many he sends out to Robertson County.
Oh, I agree.
Hughes
You send
City.
out 3 to
Just
Robertson
don't,
County.
I just don't want it in the county.
You need anything from us Monday night?
I don't think you need anything formally. I think the mayor's just here to make sure that we don't want to do all this work and bring him back and you say no. So he's trying to let you know what the discussions have been, and, you know, if you have objections, hopefully you can raise them now so that we can try to deal with them before we get down to the wire.
Well, it's like the donation, you know, if we got back and then we'd have to start back with Pleasant View, but we'll get that hammered out now before we get it.
I don't think we need him Monday night. We paid him.
What did he say?
You don't think we'll need you Monday night? We're paying you by the hour.
The mayor's got a big mouth.
Mayor signs the check.
Anybody?
He's got a big mouth but a mighty pen.
Anything else in emergency services? PJ, anything else?
No, that's it.
Thank y'all, appreciate that.
Capital improvements?
Yes, we have one item. Kingston Springs Library, the deck on the front porch. Brought it out. I think the maintenance department was able to put a temporary fix in. However, it needs to be replaced. They did go out and look for bidders, and they did find a low bidder of $4,800 to fix that. So your discussion or to bring it Monday.
Just bring that up Monday night, and vote on it. That needs to be done. Just make it hurt. Anything else on capital improvements? Final rules, David's not here, but we got, Jake. Okay. How do you say the last name? Serve on the Industrial Development Board, is that right? Yes, sir. Okay.
Great asset to that. Again, that's y'all's appointment, and confirm. I spoke to Jake several times. He's part of leadership Cheatham County last year. Here if you want to talk to him. Hopefully you got that. Get through 2.5 hours of this, so
We'll bring it, it'll be on the final rules Monday night. Road and Bridge?
Road and Bridge, we met, and want to bring it up tonight, so maybe we can pass it next week. We made a resolution to name River Road from an intersection of Highway 49 to Sam's Creek. Road, the Deputy Leroy Clarence Happel Memorial Highway. He was a deputy that got killed in 1969. Want to try to get it, Mayor Littleton, legislative session. Oh, yeah. Oh, we're gonna take down 2 stop signs, Peter Pond Road.
Do we have to vote on that, money?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Take down the 2 stop signs on Peter Pond.
Anybody else got anything? Did I miss anybody? Any boards?
Stop, though, I will say that. Whether they fuss at you about it or not, that stop sign means stop.
Anybody got anything? Motion adjourned?
Just one thing, just keep Gene Evans and his wife in your
Oh, yeah.
prayers.
He did call me this morning. Remember, we're live streaming, I guess practicing tonight, but make sure, especially Monday night, DJ, have your mic down a little bit. We'll see how it sounds after, we look at this, video tonight, so. Anything else? Motion adjourned? Motion.
Adjourn, get out of here. Dinner.
One, two.
Battery go down? How long will it be? Well, it's probably just battery. 931 55.
How's Pleasant View acting on this fire? How's Pleasant View acting with this fire contract?